Hello everybody and welcome to Let's Chat, my weekly vlog series posted every Monday at lunchtime if you're in the UK, and I am very choked up with the cold right now, so I want to keep things reasonably brief compared to the usual 25-minute, half-hour length that these new proper vlogs are going, because I've got a lot of recording to do before Monster Hunter 4's release. By the time you hear this it will already be out, but I've got a lot of catching up to do thanks to an error in a rebirth patch, making it very difficult for me to record because it could just ruin a run at random. But anyway, we're not here to complain about that. So yeah, apologies, this is going to be short. I'm going to try and get through things pretty swiftly. You can probably hear it in my voice. I'm very choked up at the moment. My nose is blocked a little bit and I just want to get through this. Sorry, but I want to get recovered before Monster Hunter 4, and hopefully I will, because you know, stuff always goes wrong in the first episode of a new series when I record it. What's going to go wrong for Monster Hunter 4? It'll be that I sound like I'm 80 years old or something and have a really croaky, stuffed up voice, and that'll put people off. That's what it'll be. I can see it coming, so I'm trying very hard to get over it as quickly as possible and getting stuff out of the way now ahead of time. But anyway, also, I couldn't do this last week because the rollover hadn't happened yet, but I've got Patreon shoutouts to do. Normally I read a bit of paper in front of me, but because I'm using this webcam now, I have a text document in front of me. I won't be able to look at the camera while I'm reading these names out, but please know that I'm eternally grateful for your support, patrons, especially in January, because that is the month where YouTubers earn the least. So, with my thanks to the following people who supported me via my Patreon page last month, here we are: Joel Coulthard, Taya Blake, apropos of nothing, otherwise known as Alex Rowley, Matsamuni, Costa McDonald, Gary, otherwise known as CR, Nick Gilaldi, Michael Smith, Moose, Toby Jones, OC Callio, Michael Millward, Amy Spain. Oh, Amy, you haven't got back to me with a picture of your competition prize, actually, now that I think about it. Hope you're okay, actually. I got a message saying, thanks, I received it, I'll send you a picture a day ago. That was a long time ago. Are you okay? Let me know. Jim, Dragonakis, Terrell Smith, Calvin Schmidt, Ryan Sadowarara. I'm doing that on purpose this time, Reaper. That one guy with the face, which is a fantastic name. Fraser Macbeth, Casper MH, Rodri Banks, and James Kilger. Thank you very much. And if you continue to support me, that is a great help. It's a shame that we have to rely on stuff like Patreon these days, but sadly there is not really an option. But it's nice to know there's nice people out there. Let's put it that way. So, I am going to go into the questions on last week's Let's Chat. However, I do have one thing for show and tell that's not a game this time. I want to tell a little story, and it's about this. And how this almost wrecked my PC. This is from a little desk that I have. You're going to have to take my word for it. It's like down on the right hand side of my desk here, above where Odessa sits. And I was just sitting at my PC and I had a headache, I guess the onset of the cold. So I thought, right, I've got some aspirin in here. So I pulled the desk a little bit, and this on the right side came off. It just fell off. And if you see these little holes here, and on the other side as well, holes here, they all had little ball bearings in them, and they gave way. They just collapsed. And my case, which is a Corsair something or other, you'd have to watch the PC unboxing video to know exactly. It's basically got strategically placed vents on every side, including the top. So what happened? The ball bearings all fell out with this. This landed on the top with a clatter. The ball bearings fell inside my PC, and instantly there was a really scary sudden noise that I thought was like, oh, that's the ball bearings like breaking the RAM or the motherboard or whatever. What it actually was the ball bearings catching in the fan and just getting stuck with the fan going like that constantly and just making a cascade of sound. It was super loud. Louder and more scary sounding than it actually was, I guess. It was like that scene in the Avengers when Iron Man started trying to push the turbine to start it. Basically that, but with ball bearings. So I had to very quickly shut everything down, including an upload, get the PC turned off, turn off the power, wait a little bit, and then shake it a little bit so that the ball bearings fell through a vent in the very bottom of the case. Although I still had to break it open, well, not break it open, you know what I mean, to slide it open, to get rid of the last couple of ball bearings that got stuck inside. I think I got them all out. It hasn't made that noise since, but that was very scary and very stupid, and it's all because of this being a flimsy piece of shit. But there we go, that almost wrecked my, or could have done irreparable damage to my PC depending on what it hit off and what I was doing at the time. It gave me an excuse to clean out the inside of my PC. I try and clean the vents and whatnot fairly regularly, say like every 1.5 weeks, but the inside always gets really super dusty because this room is super dusty, so there was a lot of stuff to do inside it. So I'm kind of, in a way, I'm glad it happened because it gave me the kick up the arse I needed to get on with cleaning out the PC. Still scary though. That noise was scarier than the situation was. But anyway, that's what I wanted to show you. Unfortunately, my Japanese candy for February hasn't arrived yet. Maybe for next time it will be. I wanted to hold off to record this until after Monster Hunter 4 arrived, but as I say, I have to make sure my voice is good enough this Saturday to cope with the first Monster Hunter 4 night. So anyway, let's go to the comments and get through these. Keeping in mind this is actually just a day after it went live, so there's not that many. I apologise again. I'll try and wait a bit longer next time. But anyway, Spherical Cube said he couldn't help but notice the 40k buildings behind me. Right there. What army do I buy? Those are there, by the way, because I've settled on my colour scheme I want for them, and I leave them there to try and convince myself to get it over with and do them quickly, although painting models that big is always a pain. What armies do I play? I play primarily Ultramarines. There we are. Ultramarines. Nurgle-themed Chaos Space Marines with some demon allies just for funsies. Farsight Enclave-themed Tau. And most recently, Tyranids, just for fun, because I wanted a melee-based army, just to try it out. So I collect a lot of stuff, that's why there's so many cases filled with them. And I do have a 40k themed channel that I update like once every few months with like battle reports or just painting videos. It's not really my focus, because I have to focus on the gaming stuff. I would love if this was going well enough that I could also afford to do more on that as well, but if you're interested in seeing some of my models rather, as I try and speak through his blocked up nose, it's linked on my main channel page. If you look at the about bit, I think there's a bit for friends and collab people. There's one called D3+2, that's my 40k channel. As I say, I rarely update it because I never have time, but you can see some of my models there if you're interested. LPVILI. Speaking of candy, have you ever tasted licorice or samanaki? I've never heard of the latter, but licorice, yeah. I don't like regular licorice, the black stuff. I hate it. But any other flavour of licorice, and I love it. There's one that's sold by a retailer here that's mango flavoured. That is really, really good. But yeah, any flavour of licorice apart from the base kind, I really like. It's not exactly good for you, but I like it. The other one, no, I've never heard of. Salmiakki. I might be pronouncing it wrong. David Brown, so what are your thoughts and feelings on Naruto The Next Generation? I haven't looked into it really. I'm happy that I stuck with Naruto for the 15 or so years that it ran. I grew up with it in a manner of speaking, and I'm happy that the story that I grew up with is now over with. I think I'll take The Next Generation as being literal. I think it's for a new generation of fans, in the same way that like the new Soul Eater, I'm not interested in that. I read the original and that's fine. So what are my thoughts? I probably won't go out my way to read it, to be honest. I'm kind of done with Naruto now, although I'll still play like the games based on that generation. But if it gets a new generation interested in that type of stuff, that's fine. I don't know if it's going to be as serious as, well, you know, semi-serious, the original Naruto was, or if it's going to be a bit more silly. Although Shonen Jump mangas often start sillier than they end up, because then they kind of get drawn into the Dragon Ball Z thing where it all becomes about the fighting more so than the comedy, but I don't know. I'm sure it'll be good. Kishimoto is a good writer and a good artist. Jason Anino says Stormkiller equals Flik 2.0. He's older than me, so technically I'm the newer model. So he's 1.0. Then you also said, if Nintendo did not create Zelda, I would never have heard of them. They really need to get their asses in gear and reach the 21st century. Yes, they do. They are way behind. Toby Jones pointed out that the UK version of the fruit roll-up things that some of my American commenters were commenting on, they're just called fruit wind-ups here. I know the brand because I was shopping just yesterday and I saw them. The brand is Kellogg's. Okay, it's Kellogg's that do them in the UK. So I guess they are just called fruit wind-ups by Kellogg's. Also, please shave your head. No. But not until May. Trust me, last year I shaved my head in May and it was bliss with the sun and the wind on my head. You realise I live in Scotland, right? Where it rains 90% of the year? So no, that's not a good idea. I have hair and I still have to wear a hat when I take the dog out in the mornings, but right now anyway, because it's still so bloody cold. Cooner I'll try again. Cooner K says, well, Nintendo are idiots. How many years have people been waiting for an open world Pokemon game? Well, there's a fan-made one, isn't there? Well, I know there's plenty of fan-made Pokemon games, but I think there is actually an MMO one. I'd buy a Wii just for that. You mean a Wii U? You see, you've made the mistake that Nintendo made. Everyone thinks the Wii U is just a Wii with added bells and whistles. It technically is. That's the dog jumping at the window, which is not a good idea because she's limping right now. I'm waiting to see if she calms down. It's just a post. She's an idiot. I haven't taken her out today because yesterday she started limping a little bit. She seems fine, seems fine today and okay, but I didn't want to take her out in case. I think it's the salt on the road. Also, my nose is running. Ugh. Sorry. Apologies if you can see it. I don't think you can. And she stopped. Good. Sorry. To go back to what I was saying. Nintendo wouldn't do it. They are idiots. Yes, they are. Cheryl says that she really likes the show and tell parts of showing off sweets and games. Well, this time all you got to see was that. I'm sorry, but that's all you get to see for now. I could also show you a yogurt drink I had for breakfast. Is that good enough? That's technically food. I'll try and do it better next time. As I say, I'm not in the mood, but I have to do this right now. If you had to choose only one game to play for the rest of your life, what would it be? It would be The Binding of Isaac Rebirth, assuming they don't ruin it with patches. That's what it would be. And unfortunately, they're heading in that direction. Grinning Owl says he doesn't remember telling me about Darkest Dungeon. I went back and checked, and it was actually Alex Rowley on Twitter. My apologies. I got you confused. You may have also mentioned it in passing, yes. I've had my eye on it for a while. Hellsing Ultimate was released on YouTube by Funimation, so it's legit. Huh. Well, it's as legit as something by Funimation can be. Bloodborne was denied on PC. Ah, right, so you weren't sure, and I pointed out. Sorry. It's possible if it doesn't sell well on PS4 that they'll release it on PC at least. If it sells really well, they probably won't, or maybe they'll do some kind of Game of the Year edition down the line. It depends how willing Sony are. If they don't make their money back, they'll look for other ways to make it back, and that would include Game of the Year editions, maybe other ports to other formats as well. We'll see. But I get the feeling it's going to sell very well. I think Bloodborne might even be hype enough to shift consoles, and the PS4 needs stuff like that. But all the next gen consoles do. You said the same thing about Witcher 3. Oh wait, sorry, I missed a... No, I didn't miss a sentence. You said the same thing about Witcher 3. It's akin to saying it can't get any worse. Wait, what? No, I didn't say that. I said they would have to try really hard to mess it up. I think I've loved the other two Witcher games. So I don't agree that's quite the same. I entirely agree about manuals. I missed them so. The last game I remember getting that had a real manual was Armored Core. My likelihood for finding manuals with games is now basically zero. Yeah, if you do get them, it's a sheet of paper that says here's the URL or whatever to get the manual, or here's how to access it on the game. Yeah, I like reading through it as well. Also, you can take it to the bathroom with you, so when you're not playing the game, you can still read about the game. That's what I did when I was a kid, and I was desperate to play a new game. Like I remember getting... Oh, actually, no, I'll tell that story when I show off the actual game, because I know for a fact I still have it. So no, never mind I said anything. We'll save that for another day. My toilet story. Did you use the note sections in your manuals? When I was a kid, yes. Unlike SNES games, there was always those sheets at the back of manuals that said, here's where you can leave notes, like passwords and stuff. And back then, games didn't have saves, so you had to use passwords. So yeah, I used it for stuff like that back then. That part doesn't really have a practical use these days, in my opinion. DRC97 says 50% off is an abridged series of Swim Free Very Funny. Okay. If you could go into one anime manga universe, what would you go into? Which one can best cure a cold quickly? And he also says Hellsing Abridged is also very funny. You watched RWBY yet? Is that Monty Ohm's series? What the hell is that? Can you hear that? Sounds like a truck, but it's going over bumps, I think, so it's shaking whatever inside it. Yeah, it is a... Well, I don't know if you're mentioning this because of Monty Ohm's passing, but it is a great shame. And also, I was just doing an unboxing on a Zavi Z-Box, and it was made before this happened. But it was a bit of a shame that on the back page of their manual they had a who would win out of Master Chief and Samus, and that's the exact fight that Monty Ohm did to get his name out there. It is a great shame that he died. I have not seen his work since the Red vs Blue special he helped them with before he was taken on as an employee of Rooster Teeth. If you aren't aware, by the way, he did all these very famous uber over-the-top anime-esque fights. His first one was Master Chief versus Samus, and then he did, I think, a series called Dead Fantasy, which was Final Fantasy female figures against dead or alive female people. I kind of stopped watching his stuff there because it was more about the boobs than the action, in my opinion. But he was definitely very talented at doing fight coordination in whatever program he used. And he went in for a routine operation and had a severe allergic reaction and sadly passed away as a result. Which just shows that something random can just take you out at any second, and it's a great shame. And I imagine people will be watching that RWBY, I can't remember what it stands for again, series, to see what he was working on just before. But no, I have not watched it. I have had very little time, especially right now. I'm trying to get a lot of work done. Kintic says he will not be able to stop himself ploughing into Monster Hunter 4 after I pleaded with my usuals to not go too far ahead because otherwise, you know, they'll have to wait for me to play catch up. I asked him at the time, I thought he said he was getting something else, but I think I'm confusing him with Gale. Gale's Force Gaming said he was getting the Borderlands Handsome Edition instead of Monster Hunter 4, which is a bad decision, Gale, if you're listening. Let's see, and then Reaper pointed out that he's just going to play it all night because he doesn't want me to be close in level. There's no levels. Draconakis points out that he likes my Nintendo rants. No, they're Nintendo speeches. A rant implies I don't know what I'm talking about, or that I don't have a point, and I had both. He then also said PS1 games. I think the last time I had a limited amount of fun playing games was playing PS1 games. And he does miss instruction manuals as well. Reading them in my times between games. Good time. And then I pointed out on the toilet. Reaper said to that, I still do that with some games, game guides. Like the Diablo 3 strategy guide. Diablo 3 does not need a strategy guide. You hit things until they die, you get better loot, you hit more things until they die. You save the world, then you do it over again because you want a challenge. And finally, 2 hours ago, Reaper made a long comment saying, sorry about the message, this was via Steam last time. I just send you a comment or something when I'm bored and it says you're online. Curse you for the Dying Light co-op that I'm spending the next couple of days watching. Well, that's giving you something to watch on your shifts. Yeah, I've not done any other Dying Light coverage other than the Let's Look At. However, if you go to Stormkiller's channel, he has been uploading VODs of us playing it co-op, and we've been streaming it on Twitch as well on his channel. And we're trying to get it out of the way before Monster Hunter 4. And at the time of me recording this, we're about 60% of the way through the story. By the time you hear this, it should have been done. I guess we'll see. And then, finally, Reaper said, when you buy a game that's around $60 or your regional equivalent, what is the amount of time you hope the game will take? As Kingdom Hearts costing 30 and taking over 100 hours is well worth it. I'm tired, so I hope that question is not confusing. I'm ill, and it was a little bit confusing. So, what value do I hope to get out of a $60 or, well, let's say that would be like a full price game is what you're saying. So that would be, if it's next gen, it's 50 quid, and if it's last gen or PC, it's 40. I would hope that you would get at least 10 hours. That's what I'm hoping for. I've played Dying Light 4, I can check, so far. 20 hours. So, and we're doing all the side quests though, but the side quests are actually very, very good. They are genuinely interesting and at times genuinely funny. I have laughed out loud at some of the writing and delivery of lines, in a good way I'm meaning, not in a bad way, in Dying Light. It's a very well written game, it's very funny. And usually if I find something funny I'll just kind of smirk or just think to myself, oh, that was entertaining. It takes a lot to actually get me to laugh out loud if I'm not putting on a show for other people around me to let them know that I'm amused. And yeah, it's very, very funny. The main story is very cliche, but I'm still really enjoying it. And I would definitely say that, what is like 40 quid brand new if you don't get it on any kind of offer. Yeah, I would say it's worth that so far. But yeah, Stormkiller's channel is just, well actually you can leave a comment. I always forget which numbers you have after your name. I think it's Stormkiller75? Wait, I can check. It's Stormkiller72 and I believe that's the same name on YouTube. So if you want to see a playlist of us playing Dying Light co-op, by all means go check that out. And we've been going for about 20 minutes. I'm going to stop here because, as I say, I have a lot of recording to do. My throat is killing me, my nose is running, I really want to blow it, and I don't have any tissues nearby. So I apologise for this one being a bit short. Thank you again to the patrons who I shouted out at the start of the video, and I hope you definitely enjoyed playing Monster Hunter 4 over the weekend, and I'll show off my copy of it next time, hopefully. See you then. Ta-ta for now.